Okay, hello. Sorry for all the silliness there, but that was a lot of fun, no? What we are doing today is comparing the 50 and 400 millimeter, and why we're doing it is because why I'm making this video and talking about these lenses is because they both have different purposes. When I got into photography, I didn't know what camera to use, I didn't know what lens to use, what focal length to use, but I did know that they all serve a different purpose. Today, I'm going on a walk with my brother Luca, taking photos with both these lenses. This is a $200 50mm lens. This is a $4,000 100-400 millimeter lens. The price doesn't matter. Just remember today we're taking photos and talking about the focal lengths of these lenses. First, we will start with the 50mm. Beautiful. It is plastic and cheap, but it tells stories and has a different purpose, and I'm going to show you that in these photos. Let's go. Since this video is a video about which lens you would want focal length wise, let me first talk about the 50mm usability, versatility, the specifications of it all. I absolutely love this lens and I love this focal length. The focal length is kind of like this. It's really nice, really tight, and as you can see, it gives you a nice depth of field. I'm losing my notebooks in the background. It's all good. The thing about the 50mm as well, a nice smaller focal length, especially this small cheap $200 one, is it's small and cheap. It's versatile, you can carry it anywhere. If I put the lens on this mirrorless camera setup, it's super light. I can pretty much whip it around anywhere. If you're a downtown street photographer, if you're kind of a photographer that takes a lot of portraits, the length is really nice to get some focus on the eye and tells a story. That's also another thing. It's versatile in its usability and specifications, and it's also, did I say versatile already? But it also tells a story. When you can zoom out and get that wider picture, when I'm taking photos of animals with that deep lens, it tells the wildlife story because these animals are so much further away. But when you're closer to your subjects or closer to the story, you zoom out, you get that bigger perspective. As you can see through the photos I'm kind of displaying on the screen now, hopefully you get an idea of the type of scenery your eye can capture and your art and what you might be able to see in the outside world. You need a shorter focal length and you need one that's going to be longer in the end goal, but how you get there, which one you get first, is really dependent on preference. So please stick around and listen to what I have to say about this 400mm one, because you just can't do certain stuff with other lenses that you can with that one. So let's get to some of the photos and put the bad boy on. Before we start talking about the 400mm, let's do some exploring. Okay, let's explore this super dope spot we found and talk about the 400mm, why I love this lens and why you might want it, why you might want at least a telephoto lens. If it's cheaper, it's a great purchase. The 50mm, like I said, tells a story, and that's something the 400mm can do really well when you're referring to like isolated subjects. The 500mm, I mean 400mm, shit. Messing up my words. When you're trying to tell the more detailed picture, I feel like rather than the massive story, the telephoto comes in super clutch. But I also don't want to say that it doesn't tell stories, because when you see certain photos of wildlife, it captures specific moments. And that's what I was referring to when I was saying this lens or this focal length just does things others cannot. For example, a 50mm might still be able to act as like an 85, or, you know, it's not going to give you that exact zoom, you know, but the shot won't be as different as 50 to 400. That's why I'm comparing these two lenses in specific, so you can see the dramatics of what each product gives you. Another super important aspect of the 400mm lens, or a telephoto lens, just this is the one I have, that you appreciate other not focal lengths, you appreciate other apertures much more. Because I can't go down to a 1.8 on the 400, I have to stop at a 5.6. But even sometimes I go further to 7.1 or even within the 11 range, because it helps me get better as a photographer. If you miss focus, that makes up for it. And you can also get super sharp photos. I feel like when you're a beginner photographer, you always think 1.8 is the best thing ever. But you know, every focal length, just like every aperture range, always has a purpose. So when you start to use a telephoto lens, that's something you pick up on. And one final thing, there's many points to this telephoto lens. It's macro-ish capabilities. You can get in on insects, and you can't get super close because the focus distance isn't like a macro 85mm where you can get in less than half a meter. I believe the focus distance is 0.98 centimeters, so about a meter. The results I've had are incredible, and again, you cannot get that with a 50mm lens. But remember, the photos you get with the 50mm, you might not see the same results with even going down to 100mm.
Oh yeah, you might want to fix that in post, that 0.98 centimeters.
Oh yeah.
Because 0.98 centimeters would be like...
Yeah.
98
centimeters. 98 centimeters.
98 centimeters.
Hello, welcome to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a thing or two. If you did, leave a like down below. There's a button for it. And feel free to comment your favorite lens or focal length. I love to see how people do art different from me, what is in their kit, and what your preferences are. The whole point of this video was to explain to you and showcase the differences between like a 50mm and a massively telephoto 400mm, and give you actual photos and evidence to show you what each lens can do better than the other, how a 100-400 or a telephoto for that matter can get really close and is perfect for detail, but a 50mm tells stories a lot better or differently by seeing a larger picture, a bigger range of things. So every lens has a purpose, and your use for them is really important. And figuring out what you want in your kit is super important. And also know that there's no like one way to build your kit, and like this lens, this lens, this lens, everyone is different and they get there separately. So if you're looking to pick up a lens, think about that. Think about your art, your style of photography. What kind of photos do you want to take, and take that into consideration. Test your focal length, see if you prefer that wider angle stuff, and then you can figure out if you want to buy a very expensive 50mm or 85mm, whatever it is. But keep on building your kit, keep on creating, and I hope you enjoyed the photos I took for you. It's a beautiful day, summer's kicking in, the pollen is hitting my nose, and I hope you enjoy yourself this weekend. Take care. You already know what it is. Peace, love, positivity. I'll see you in the next one.